زۆر بەخێربێن پێشەموو شتێکی زۆر سوپاس بۆ مامۆستا ئاسۆ و سوپاس بۆ ئیدارەیە و مەکتەبە سوپاس لۆ لای بەڕێزمان کاک تێکۆشە کە بەڕاستی زۆر ماندی بووە هەتا ئێستا ماندیش زۆری شێش ئەمە وەکو کۆمەڵی ئارەزومەندانی فەلەکناسی کوردستان شانازی بە کەسانێکی وەکو ئیدارەی ئێرە و کاک تێکۆشە دەکەن کە بێ بەرامبەر لەگەڵمانن لە چالاکیەکانی کۆمەڵە هەدەفەکەش ئەوەیە ئەوەی ئازیز و خۆشەویست لە بواری فەلەکناسیش ئاشنا بکەین و ئەو تاقیکردنەوەیەکی زۆر زۆر گرنگە کە بۆ یەکەم جار ئێوە لەگەڵ فەلەکناسانی ناسا قسان دەکەین. باشە فکرەکە چۆنە پێشترێ تاقیکردنەوەتان کردووە لە سکایپ و قسەکردن لەگەڵ وڵاتانی دیکە بەڵام بەیەکەوە بزانین چێنە ئەو کەسانەی کە ئێمە قسەیان لەگەڵ دەکەین وانە بیان ناسین. یەکەمیان ئیمێلێکم بۆ هات دەیت ئیڤانس کابرایەکی بەخۆی عەسکەریە لە جێشی بەریتانیا بەڵام وەک ئێمە ئارەزومەندی بواری فەلەکناسیە لە ئیمێلێکیدا اتصالی پێکردن گوتی من ئەو ماوەیەکە متابعەی وەزعی کوردستان دەکەم فوجەتەن چاوم بە وێبسایت پیجی من کەوتم لە فەیسبوک گوتی ئێوە سما کۆمەڵێکی فەلەکناسی شەیە کاری لەگەڵ گوتم بەڵێ یەکسەر گوتی من چالاکیەک هەیە زۆر حەز دەکەم بیکەم دووەم تاقیکردنەوە یەکەم جار لە سکۆتلەند کردبووی عینە شتێکی وەکو ئێستا زۆر نەزاحەتی گەورەی هێناوە پاشان گوتی من زۆر حەز دەکەم ئەو تاقیکردنەوەی لە کوردستان بکەم دەزانین چۆن ڕێکخراوەکی هەیە بەس ئۆفیشیەل یعنی ڕەسمی نییە جارێ ناوی ڕێکخراوی زانست و هونەر و ئەندازەیە جا ئەم گوت ئێستا لۆ کوردستان لۆ ئیشین گۆ زانستەکە یعنی فەرق زانستەکە دەگرێتەوە بۆیە بواری فەلەکناسی کە بەخۆشی ئارەزومەندە هەڵیبژات یەک ئیڤانس ماوەت پێشەوە تووشی حادیسەیەکی ماکۆسکی بوو تقریبا مانگی پێش ئێستا دابڕا دەنا دەماتوانیشی دیکە جوانتر و گەورەتر بکەین بەڵام ئەو بەداخەوە کەوتە خەستەکانەوە عملیات کراوە ئێستا سەحەتی زۆر باشە ئەوە بەنسبەت دەیڤ ئیڤانس کە طبعا پرۆژەی دیکەشمان لەبەردەستە زۆر ئینشاءالله بەخوا تەمەندا وەزع تۆزێک ئارامتر بیتەوە ئەو کات ئێمە دەتوانین زۆر شت بکەین. دووەم کەس کە دوو فەلەکناس قسەمان لۆ دەکەن یەکیان دکتۆر فیلیپ میتزگر دکتۆر فیلیپ دوێنێ شەو قسە نەکرد بۆ یەکەم جار کەسێکی زۆر ڕەخسووکە زۆر سادەیە زۆر خاچیە ئەمریکیەکەشی تۆزە سەریع دنیا پێ بۆ سلۆ داون پلیز تم بەخوا وا قسەی بکەیت معنی ئەمە بەس مادی بوونمانەوە دەمێنێتەوە پێ دەکەنی زۆر زۆری باشە من محاوڵێکی زۆر جدی دەکەم ڕۆ بەبیری لێ بۆ دیسان چکەوان کە لاسی وەرگرن ڕاناوە اوكي دكتور فيليب بعد فيليب شيء سيدكم هو ما يجي بكانا من دنقم باشا سبوري فيزياء وفيزياء هساري بكالوريوس لأندازي كهرباء صالي اشتاقنت ماستر لفيزياء صالي 2000 دكتوراه لفيزياء صالي 2000 عندامي كومالي اندازاري مدني امريكي كارمندي سنتري بوشايغري كندي سبيس سنتر رنگ ناوبان كان بيستري با اجانسي ناسا اخر زادوي يشكل استتقاعد بوا خانم الشيوا ئێستا پسپۆری فیزیای لە زانکۆی سنترال فلۆریدا ئەوە دێخینەوە لێکۆڵینەوەی بەرچاوی هەیە لە بوارەکانی دۆزینەوەی سیستەمی خۆر دامەزرێنی پرۆژەی تاقیگەی خاچی مانگ و پێکهاتی ڕیدیۆلیز گرانوڵار میکانیکس ئەند ڕیدیۆلیف ئۆپەرەیشن لاب ئەوە لێ بەشدار بووە ئەو لێکۆڵینەوەکانی تایبەت بە مانگە خاچی مانگ سروشتی مانگ خاکەی چۆن ئایا دەشێ مرۆڤ لەسەری بژیان ساڵی 85ەوە لەنێو پرۆژەی مەکۆی ئاسمانی سپیس شەتڵ دکتۆر فیلیپ بەشدارە وەکو کارمەند لە بەرنامەی بەکارخستنی سیستەمی فرین لە بۆشایی ئاسمانی نێودەوڵەتی ئەلفا دەستی هەبووە کاری کردووە لە مەحەتەی فەزای دووەری ISS هەروەها ڕۆڵێکی بەرچاوی هەیە وەکو نووسرایە لە کاراکردنی بوارەکانی سیستەمی فرین و موشەچی و میکانیزمی کارتێکردن یعنی ئەو کوڕە زیاتر اختصاصی ئەنزیمەی دەفع و سەواریخ و ئەو شتانەیە بەڵام پێویست بۆی کردووە کە یعنی هەسارەکانیش بخینی زانستی هەسارەکانیش وەکی ئەو سیستەمی کە تۆ دەینێری ساڕوخە موشەکە کەشتی ئاسمانیە دەبی تۆ بزانیت لۆ چەندە دەینێری ئەو خاکە چۆنە کە کەشتێکی لەسەر دەنیشیتەوە مواسفاتی فیزیایی چیە ئەوانێ هەموو خوێندووە ئۆکێ بەخێرایی بەشدار بوو لە لێکۆڵینەوەی تایبەت بە تیمی ئاوادانکردنەوەی مانگ ئەو زۆر میمە لونار ئارکیتێکچەر تیم مارس ئارکیتێکچەر تیم هەروەها مەریخ ئەوانەی لە ئێستا پلاندا دەنێن کە مرۆڤ بنێرن بۆ مەریخ و لەوێ بژی وە لەسەر مانگیش بژی سەرپەرشتیکردنی چەندی پرۆژەی تایبەت بە دروستکردنی ئامێری هەڵکردن ئامێرە جیهازەکانی حەفت لۆ هەسارەکانی دی نەک لۆ سەرزەوی دەستەی ئامادەکار و ئەنجامدانی وەرکشۆپی تایبەت لەسەر سروشتی خاچی مانگ و دۆزینەوەکانی مەریخ لە ساڵی 2010 خەڵاتی سنوپی زیوی فەلەکی پێبەخشرا لە ساڵی 2011 وەکو تاوەکو ئێستا عفوا وەختی لە 2011 کارمەند بووە لە سنتەری بۆشایگەری کەنەدی و نازناوی زانا و ئەندازیاری ناسای پێبەخشرا لە ساڵی 2011 واتە ئێمە خۆشەویستان لەگەڵ کەسێکی زۆر سپێشەڵ قسەی دەکەین بەڕاستی یعنی من دوێنێ تەسەوڕم نەکرد ئەمن لەگەڵ دکتۆر فیل قسەی دەکەم یعنی کەسێکی وا هەرچی پرسیارێکم لێ دەکرد جوابی لێداوە هەرچی پرسیارێکم لێ دەکرد وەڵامی لێدابوو ئینشاءڵڵا ئێوەش سوودێکی زۆری لێ وەردەگرن بەپێی توانای خۆمان چونکە ئێمە بڵۆم باس کردیە کە ئێمە و قوتابیان علم فەلەکمان نەخوێندووە بۆیە پرسیارەکان لە ئاسێکی زۆر بەرز نابێت زانیاریمان هێندە زۆر نییە زۆر بە احتیاطی وەرگرت هەردێشی پرسن ئایا مان خڕیان ناگەر حەسان ئەوەشی لێ پرسن چونکە ئەو ئامادەیە هەرچی پرسیار هەیە هیچ شەرمی ناوێت هەرچیتان هەیە ئەو وەڵامی دەداتەوە چونکە ئەوان مەبەستیان ئاستەکە نییە تێستکردنی ئاستی بۆ مەبەستیان ئەوەیە زانیاریتان پێبەخشی چونکە جاری وایە پرسیاری زۆر زۆر سادە وەڵامێکی زۆر زۆر مهم و گەورەی لێوە دەستێت باش ئەوە دەیڤدی شاتە سەرخەت باشە دووەم کەسمان چییە ئەوە هەر زۆر زۆر مهمە ڕۆبرت زۆبرن تو باشە پێم پیا حەزی گەورەیەوە پێ استاذ فۆتۆشۆپت هەیە باش بامزانین دکتۆر ڕۆبرت چێ ئەوەی باسی مەریخمان لۆ دەکات سەعات سوال ئینشاءالله کە ئاوی هاتە سەرخەت ئەوە دکتۆر ڕۆبرت زۆبرنە دکتۆر ڕۆبرت زۆبرن طبعا ئەوش اختصاصی فەلەک ناسێ پسپۆرە لە بواری خۆی بۆ زۆر زۆر زیرەکە کەسێکی زۆر ناودارە لەسەر ئاستی جیهانی فەرموو مامۆستا عەلەیکوم سەلام لەسەر ئاستی جیهانی دکتۆر ڕۆبرت زۆر زۆر مەشهورە لەبەر چی؟ طبعا لە داهێکی ساڵی 1952 شارەچکەی دیکۆ لە کۆلۆرادۆ بەکەلۆریۆس لە ماتماتیک ماستەر لە ئەندازەی ناوەچی ئەندازەی ناوەچی ماستەر لە فیزیک بۆشایی ئاسمان دکتۆرا لە ئەندازەی ناوەچی زان ئەوم شادا گەورە گەورانە لە خلالی سەمەنی خۆی بەشدار بۆ دیزاین و بەرەپێدانی چەندین کەشتی ئاسمانی باش یەکێک بووە لە گەورە ئەندازیارانی کۆمپانیای گەورەی لوکهێد مارتن کە گەورەترین کۆمپانیای دروستکردنی یعنی ئێرۆسپەیس یان ئێرۆپلێن تەیارەکانی سەرزەوی تەیارەکانی بۆشایی ئاسمان لوکهێد مارتن زۆر زۆر مەشهورە دامەزرێن و سەرۆکی ڕێکخراوی هەر ناوداری جیهانی کۆمەڵگەی مەریخیە مارس سۆسایەتی مارس سۆسایەتی لە ساڵی 2008 ئەم پەیوەندی پەیوەندی وەکو خەول زۆر حەز دەکردم بە ئەندامێک بەڵام لەبەر ئەوەی ساڵانەیان هەیە ئیشتراکی ساڵانە و ئەو ویزا و شتوانە و پارە نەکردێت نەمتوانین بمە ئەندام ئێستا کە تەسەوڕ کە سەرۆک و دامەزرێنەری ئەو ڕێکخراوە دەبێتە میوانی کەواتە دەرگایەکی زۆر گەورە دەبێتەوە بۆ ئێمە و بۆ ئەو فەلەک ماسە کە ئێمە بەشدار بین لە کۆمەڵەکەیان یان ئێمە بتوانین سوود لە زانیاریەکانیان وەربگرین خۆی گرنگترین خاڵ لێرەدا بێجگە لە شەهادەکانی ئەو مارس سۆسایەتیش کە گەورەترین منەظەمەی عالەمیە کە تەشجیعی دەستگا فەلەکیەکان دەکات مرۆڤ بۆ مەریخ ڕەوانە بکەن ئەوە زۆر زۆر پێ دەڵێن ئەدڤۆکەسی یعنی بانگهێشتکردن بانگهێشتێکی زۆر زۆر گەورە دەکات بۆ ناردنی مرۆڤ بۆ سەر مەریخ طبعا چەندین کتێبی هەیە یعنی تەماشا ئەمەزان نیە ناوەکان ئەو کتێبانە هەموو ئەو تەریفی کردێ نووسیتیەوە بەڵام لە هەموویان گرنگتر Mars Direct Space Exploration The Red Planet and the Human Future 2013 ئەو کتابە دەرچوو کتابێکی زۆر ناودارێکی زۆری بەدەستهێنا چکە باز لە ناردنی مرۆڤ دەکات بۆ سەر مەریخ قۆناغ بە قۆناغ و پاش پێشەویش پرۆژەی مارس 1 هات پرۆژەیەکی هۆڵەندیە تیجاریە زیاتر دەیانوێ مرۆڤ بنێرن بۆ سەر مەریخ بەڵام بەداخەوە هاتنەوەی نییە یعنی یەک سەردەچی نایەتەوە لەبەر چیە مەسەلەکە تێچوونە پارێکی یەکجارێک زۆر خەیاڵیە ماوە تۆ بڵێن کە دکتۆر ڕۆبرت ناودارترین کەسایەتی بانخوازە بۆ ڕەوانەکردنی بۆ سەر هەسارەی مەریخ و ڕاستەوخۆ کتێبەکەی گۆڕی بۆ پرۆژە ناوێنە مارس دایرێکت یعنی ڕاستەوخۆ مەریخ ئەوە زۆر بەخێران هەندێک زانیاری ماوەڵگر دەربارەی ئەو سێ کەسایەتیە دکتۆر ڕۆبرت زۆبرن و فیلیپ میتزەر و هەروەها دەیڤ ئیڤانس باش بزانم ئێوە شێوازی پرسیارکردنەکە تەمان ئەوان بدایەتی هەندێک باسی نیشنە زۆر بەکوتی احتیمالە باسی خۆیان بکەن بەڵام من پێ گوتم من باسی سیڤیەکی کورد وەکو ئێستا ئەوان ڕاستەن دێنە سەر باسی پسپۆرەیەکەیان باسی مانگتان بۆ دەکەن یەکەم جار دکتۆر فیلیپ دێ باسی مانگ دەکات و لە دوای ئەو دەرگای پرسیارکردن دەکات و ئێوە دەتوانن پرسیار بکەن بەکارهێنانی ئەو مایکە وەکو کارتێک وەشەر ئاماژەی پێدا ئێستا ئەو بۆنەوەی ئێستا
لە بۆ سەری ئەوە نەبڵ
لە بۆ سەرێکی کاتێک تو پرسیار کرد ئەو ئێستا کوژانمانەوە لۆ سەری ببە پرسیارەکەی خۆت بکرد دوای بیکوژێنەوە نەبادا لەوێ دەنگ زۆر بداتەوە ئەو لێمان تێنەگات بەو شێوە پرسیارکردنەکە و لەسەرەخۆ ئینگلیزیەکەت ئەگەر احتیاجی بووە هەر چۆنی بەس لەسەرەخۆ پرسیارەکە بکە ئەو داواکار ئەوانش لەسەرخۆ وەڵامەکە بدەنەوە و ئەگەر ئیشکالیەک بوو هەر ئیشکالی بوو بیدارە تێن نەگەیشتن داوا دەکەم دوای پرسیارەکانمان بدەنێ ئەمن لۆی دەنێرم ئەو بە تێکست وەڵامەکەمان دەداتەوە ئەو ئەگەر هاتوو یەک تێنەگەیشتن چۆشی زۆر دەبێت یا ڕەنگە ئینتەرنێت نەبێت ڕەنگە خەت قەتاعی وەنیە ئەمە احتیاتی خۆمان دەبی وەرگین ئێستا حالیان کەس پرسیاری هەیە لەو شتارێکە باسمان کرد تقریباً شتێکی وامان نییە بەڵام ئێستا بزانین ڕۆ دەیڤ لەسەر خاتە ئێستا دەیڤ وەکو پلانمان دانایە بە تەمایە سەعات مای کۆمپیوتەری ئەوەندە چییە؟ Hello,
Hi. Wow, it's a good number of people you have there, Isaac.
Thank you very much. My students, my dear students, this is Mr. Dave, my very best friend. As I told you about him, he's the Superman, he's the superstar of this event. So I really appreciate for what he do, and I'm sure you will enjoy with this event. So I'm let Dave talk, let him give him a chance to talk about himself for a little bit. I really appreciate that.
Wow, it's a good number of people you have there, Isaac.
Thank you very much. My students, my dear students, this is Mr. Dave, my very best friend. As I told you about him, he's the Superman, he's the superstar of this event. So I'm really appreciate for what he do, and I'm sure you will enjoy with this event. So I'm let Dave talk, let him give him a chance to talk about himself for a little bit. I really appreciate that.
Wow, thank you very much for attending this event. With events like this, what we aim to do is get you guys interested in science and engineering. And that way you guys can build a better future. I myself am a professional engineer in the UK. I'm a former army medic for the British Army, and I've travelled the world. And I've seen what good people like yourself can do with science and engineering. I must admit, I'm actually utterly pleased to see the number of people that have came for today's event. It's breathtaking to see you guys here. It's been a long time for myself and Azzy organising this event, and it's just amazing for myself to see the number of people here. But what I want you guys to know is that with the science and engineering is a large community throughout the globe. It's something that you guys would be more than welcome to get involved with. There's many different fields in science and engineering that you guys can personally participate in. From astronomy to engineering, which is my favourite subject. And I'm sure Azzy has probably talked a fair bit about astronomy so far, and I hope you guys get involved with that.
Thank you very much, Dave. Dave, I have a question for you. So,
Yes, my friend.
Thank you very much. Also, all students here and dear teachers, also the director board here, after welcoming you, they really want to ask why Kurdistan? What was the reason? What was the impact on you?
It's the people of Kurdistan. You guys are fairly well educated and you're ambitious. I want to welcome, and people who I work with want you guys to be a part of the science and engineering community. You guys have a lot to give to the world. And what you guys are going through at the moment, we all feel sympathetic to you. The troubles you face at the moment are the passing of ignorant minds. And it'll be you guys who will come up better at the end. You will build a better world. And the reason that I picked this place was just that you guys inspire people like me. I mean, and I want you guys to know that the greater community in the world is inspired by you guys doing your best at the moment.
Thank you very much. طبعا stuff. Dave, give me one break. I'm translated to Kurdish.
Thank you.
Because these are very important words from you, as always you are. Okay, my friend Dave. As we talking with you at our previous Skype calls, you mentioned about one important thing that probably we can do another projects together here or outside Matir Fakher Mergasuri educational compound. So
yeah.
It will be continue. And are you really like to joining us in the next future activities?
In a future activity, I will be across.
Great, thank you very much. So about our friends Phil and Robert, guys here are asking about the questions. Some of them said probably this question will be primitive or simple. And I hear some really advanced questions. So one of them asking me a question, it's very fresh, 2014. I didn't hear about that. So probably this is a surprise because I didn't know about the case that one of the students talked about. So I'm sure it will be a fantastic event. I'm sure this will be a good victory for you. And I don't know what I say, Dave. I don't know really what I say.
This is my pleasure to see all of you people here. I am inspired by the number of people that came up. It's fantastic. And I hope you guys enjoy today. And I hope you ask a lot of questions to Phil and Robert.
Thank you very much. One of the students want to say thank you.
Hi, my name is Don, and I'm 18. I want to thank you that we appreciate you that you gave your time to answer our questions, and you take care of us as a country that fight against. You know that in our situation we are fighting against ISIS, and we are in a very abnormal situation here. And by the name of all of the students, we want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It is my honor.
And as Kurdish people say, zor supas. Thank you very much. Now I think the time is close to Dr. Philip. Excuse me. By the way, the study of them are not English. You know, we have schools in Erbil, especially all the program English, but here are all in Kurdish, but they can speak English well, and I'm sure they understand. As they understand you, I'm sure they're understanding Philip and Robert and enjoy and learn more about astronomy, my friend.
Don't worry if you're confused with the accent. I am Scottish, so we speak slightly different English.
I told them.
I do apologise.
I told them, Dave, he's from Northern United Kingdom, as I'm right? So
yeah.
The language there is the phonetic there is very different than the Britain or somebody in England. Dave, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
It's
a fantastic time.
Thank you, and I'm sure you'll back up us and you'll be online. If in case anything happened, just send us an F-16 to.
It will be fine. Enjoy yourself, guys.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. We will be honored. Thank you.
Take care.
Hello,
Hello.
Dr.
Hello. How are you this morning?
Thank you very much. Well, my friends, this is Dr. Philip Metzger. As I told you about him, I read a brief CV of his great work and fantastic job on NASA and in the field of space and space exploration. My dear friend, all students are welcoming you warmly. Also, the directory staff here in the this compound, we are welcoming you warmly for the first time, and this is very an honor to us.
Well, the honor is mine, and I'm very grateful to be able to speak with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, my friend. So, there are a lot of questions now. Some of them asked me, I said, we have to wait our dear guest. So, we have advanced questions for the first time. One of the students asked me a question. I said, please, I don't have any kind of information. You've got to ask Dr. or Mr. Philip. So, if you like, you start to talk about the moon for a bribe, or about your life, your job, or your mission, or what you've done on NASA. They're really excited to hear that from you.
Okay, great. So I worked for NASA for almost 30 years, and I just retired from NASA and started teaching, or started as a faculty member at a university in Florida in the United States. So my job for 30 years at NASA, the first 10 years I worked on the space shuttle, and I was testing it and troubleshooting when things were broken, keeping it flying. The next 7 years I worked on the International Space Station, helping to put together the communication systems on that and testing it and getting it ready for launch. Then since that time, for the last 12 years, I worked in a technology development lab, and I co-founded a laboratory known as the Kennedy Space Center Swamp Works. The Swamp Works is the lead organization in NASA for developing mining in space. So if you want to do mining, or and also manufacturing in space, if you want to use the resources of space, then you need to start out by mining, extracting the resources from the environment, then you have to process, and then you can do manufacturing with those materials. It's really important that we start using resources in space, because launching is too expensive. If you launch water into space, the cost of putting an ounce of water in space is more than the cost of buying an ounce of gold. So we have a saying that an ounce of water in space is worth more than an ounce of gold. If you want water in space, you have to pay the price of gold to get it. And we need water in space. We use water for actually rocket propellant. When you use electrolysis to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, that is your rocket propellant. And when you burn the fuel, the hydrogen and the oxygen in your rocket engine, it makes water again. So we need lots of rocket propellant if we want to do things in space. We also use water for radiation shielding. Here on the Earth, we're protected from radiation by the Earth's magnetic field and by the thick atmosphere of the Earth. But up in space, we don't have that. And so we want to put more radiation shielding around the spacecraft. Water is the best radiation shield. So there are some reasons why we want water in space. And fortunately, we know there are a lot of places where we can get water in space. The moon has water deposits at the North and South Pole. And there's enough water that if we turned it into rocket propellant, you could launch the space shuttle every day for 1,000 years. That's how much water is at the poles of the moon. Also, there are asteroids. And a lot of the asteroids are as much as 20% water by weight. And so if we can just capture these small asteroids, then we can get the water out. We think that this is the right approach to helping humanity get beyond just having one planet. If we start using the water in space, start manufacturing fuel, then the next step is to start extracting metal. We can make metal out of the lunar soil, or we can get metal out of asteroids. And once we can start making metal, then we can make spacecraft in space without launching them. We can also make solar cells so that we can get the energy from the sun and convert it to electricity. We have some ideas about how to make solar cells out of lunar soil. So these are some examples of how we want to use the resources in space. And I was involved in a test a few years ago where we were taking oxygen out of soil. Most rocks are 50% oxygen by weight. If you hold a rock in your hand, like this is a meteorite that came from North Africa. This is actually half oxygen by weight. Every rock, if you go walk on the sand is 50% oxygen. And so if you can just get the oxygen out of the rock, the studies tell us that we can cut the cost of doing missions to Mars by about 1/3, cut it down to 1/3 of the cost, or make it even 1/5 of the cost just by getting the oxygen out of the rocks. So so we built some technology to get the oxygen out of rocks, and we took this technology up to a volcano in Hawaii. We had robots that were driving around digging up the soil, and they were dumping this volcanic ash into a chemical processor. The chemical processor was then using sunlight for energy to melt the volcanic ash, and it was using a chemical process to get oxygen out. And then we were liquefying the oxygen, making it very cold down to liquid state. And then we used the liquid oxygen to fire a rocket thruster. So the test went from volcanic dust to rocket thrust, and we called the test dust to thrust. So we did that in Hawaii a few years ago, and it was all very, very good. It all worked well, and we demonstrated that we can do these things in space. So we think that if we get started doing these things, then the next step is to start manufacturing in space, and then we can make the cost of spaceflight far less, and that will enable us to start doing more things in space. So that's what I'm working on. That's the area of technology that I've been developing, both at NASA and now as a faculty member at the university. My personal opinion is that this should be our #1 goal in space. We should try to start industry on the moon and using asteroids that are close to the Earth. I think that's more important than going to Mars right now. That's my personal opinion. And I think that once we do this, once we develop these technologies on the moon, then it will make it far easier to go to Mars. Then we'll be able to afford doing missions to Mars. I wrote a paper a couple of years ago talking about how to start industry on the moon and how we can make it more advanced so that every year our technologies on the moon become more advanced until eventually we can have robots that build robots on the moon using entirely space resources, entirely resources that were obtained on the moon. And if we do this, then this industry that we put in space can double itself and then double itself again. And then we can send the robots to the main asteroid belt where the industry can grow very large. And once we get this very large industry on the moon, then it can start to build power generators in space that can beam the energy back down to the Earth. And so this is a way that we can start bringing resources back down to the Earth to improve life on the Earth. And by doing this, we can eventually solve all of the poverty problems that we have on the Earth. We can help the entire world get the benefits of a very high standard of living, and we can stop polluting the Earth, stop using energy sources that put pollution into the atmosphere, and And so I wrote this paper and published it, and the White House, the Office of the President in the United States, actually read my paper, and they started contacting me and asking me questions about it. And so they started this new initiative that they're calling massless exploration, exploring space without launching any mass off of the Earth. So I'm very excited about that. I think that it holds the potential to revolutionize civilization here on the Earth so that we can take civilization to a much higher level. So that's an overview about what I'm doing. And Ajit, did you want me to answer questions?
Yes, my friend. Thank you very much. That was fantastic information. If you just give me 5 minutes to just translate the topics of what you say to Kurdish language, because what you say is something very strange we have never heard about, using the volcano ashes or using the water
Okay.
of moon. Just give me a little break. I'm gonna just tell the guys what you done.
Okay.
طبعا بابي كمتجي لبي دلي بوي كم زارة من أو بيبر خۆم تو بحثی بخۆم تقدیمی وايت هاوس یان بيت الأبيض کردو موافقەش هەنە سەکردو لێکۆڵینەوەی لەسەر دەکەن بەڵام ئەو شتانێک ئەو باسی کرد زۆر غەریبە یەک لەوانە دەڵێ ئەو ئاوەی کە لەسەر مانگ هەیە ئەو ئاوەی کە لە ساوث پۆل و نۆرث پۆل بەنگلیزی لەمە تاویش بزانین مانگ مون دەڵێ ئەو ئاوەی کە هەیە ئێمە دەتوانین بەکاری بینۆ کە سوتەمەنی هەموو ڕۆژ کەشتی ئاسمانی پێ هەڵدەین بۆ ماوەی 1000 ساڵ بەس سوود لەو بڕە ئاوەی کە لە جەمسەری باشوور هەیە دەتوانین وەرگرین هەموو ڕۆژ کەشتی ئاسمانی بەواسی ئەو ئاوە ینی ئاوەکەی دەگۆڕن بۆ سوتەمەنی شتێکی تری باس کرد دکتۆر فیلیپ کە دەڵێ لە هاوای تەجاروبیان هەیە لەسەر ئاش ڤۆڵکانیک ئاشیان خۆڵەمێشی گڕکانی بەشێکی ئەو باسی کە بەردێکی پیشاندان میتیۆرایتەکە دەڵێت نازم نسبەکەی چەند 180 ئۆکسیجین 115 ئۆکسیجین یعنی تەسەوڕ کە بارستای ئەو بەردە 115 ئۆکسیجینە شتێکی زۆر غەریبە یعنی تووەرە لەو بەردەی ئۆکسیجین دەردێنە دەتوانن مەشاکلی خۆیان پێ حەڵکەن فیلیپ ئاماژەی بەوەیدا کە ئێمە دەکرێت مەسەلەن ئەو سیستەمە ئەو تەفکیری ئەو هەیە ئەو تەرحی ئەو هەیتی کە موشک هەڵدەینە ئاسمان بێ ئەوەی ئێمە سوتەمەنێکی زۆر لەگە خۆمان بین و کەشتێکی ئاسمانی زەبەلاح دروستکەین و پارەیەکی گەلێک زۆر نەخێر ئێمە دەتوانین کەشتێکی ئاسمانی بچووک دروستکەین بچینە سەر مانگ بچینە سەر هەسارەکانی دی لەوێ سوود لە وزەکانی وێن دەروەگرین پارچە بەردێکی ئەوەندە ئەو هەموو ئۆکسیجینەی تێدابی کەواتە ئەوان تەفکیریان لۆلایەکی زۆر دوور ڕۆیشتیان ئێستا حەزەکەی بەس وەکو پرسیار لای خۆت بنووسۆ ئەگەر وەکو پرسیار لەسەر چی بووە ئەو باسم کرد یعنی ئەو دەڵێ لەناو پاش ئەو تەکنۆلۆژیای کە بەکاری دێنن Okay, doctor, my friend Philip, let's say, as you said me yesterday, don't say doctor. I said I've got to respect you, so I can't say Philip like that. My dear friend, now we are open the gate of questions. So if you're ready, we have questions for you, and we appreciate if you have your answers for it. پرسیارەکان بە حەزەکەی بە سڕە دەست پێ بکەین دەست دەڵێن لە پێشەوە لە دواوە چۆن باشە مامۆستا ئاسۆ لە پێشەوە با لێرە دەست پێ بکەین وڵای پێدەی بێتە بەرامبەر کامێرێکی
Hello, my name is Tara. I'm so happy to speak with you, but I'm speaking Kurdish.
I'll translate it for you. The question is she writing in Kurdish?
سرتاي دروزبوني زوي مانك بهش ساعات بدور هيك دو سورانوا بلام جاسر او سورانوا هوار استابو تست 24 ساعات مرو تستي هي لروداني امش تبشوي كراس خوي هنا راس خو
Philip, she said, as she read about that, the beginning of creation of the moon, she said that the rotation لدوري الزاوية وين around the one rotation around Earth was taking only 8 hours. I don't know, is that probably you know more than us. Is that true? Is that happen in the beginning of the moon? It's rotating very quick around Earth.
I don't remember. I learned about that many years ago when I was in graduate school. But yes, the moon is moving further away from the Earth. And the reason it moves further away from the Earth, do you want me to just say a little bit and then you can translate and then I'll say a little more? Haji?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the Earth is elongated by the moon. It's the, here I will do this. Let's say this is the Earth, the Earth and the moon. And the moon pulls on the Earth and it makes it elongated. It makes it longer like that. But the Earth is turning. And so the long part is turning away from the moon.
Yes.
So so it's like this, it's turning. And so the long part is pulling, the gravity is pulling the moon, and it's pulling it, and it makes the moon go faster and faster around the Earth. And so as the moon goes faster, it gets farther and farther away. And so this has been happening for a long time. And so the moon has been getting farther away. Now, it is ironic that when you go faster in orbit, it actually takes longer to go around. Because although you are going faster, you're also farther out, and so the distance is more. So you're going faster and faster, but it takes longer and longer. So although the moon is going a lot faster now than it used to, it takes an entire month for it to go around the Earth now.
استعمال برابر خيراتر ده صورته ولا دوري زي وليش دور دكويته أو يك دقة أو أنا بشاركته زين بس تو حد بشاركته بينه she asked absolutely there is no any connection between what happened to the moon and human. It's something natural happened to the moon, not artificial or the effect of human on the moon or something like that. It's naturally happening.
Oh no. It's naturally, that is correct. It's a natural effect that the moon is getting farther from the Earth.
Yes, okay, you can sit. Thank you. She's asking about the Earth moonquakes. What about moonquakes?
So the moon does have moonquakes, like the Earth does as well. There are several types of moonquakes. There are moonquakes that happen deep inside the moon, down inside the mantle of the moon. Then there are other moonquakes that happen up on the crust of the moon, because the moon takes an entire month to turn around. So half the moon is in the sunlight for about 14 days, and then it's in pure darkness for 14 days. So it gets very hot and then it gets very cold. And so when it is hot, it expands and creates a lot of stress in the surface of the moon. And then when it cools, it contracts. And so this expanding and contracting creates moonquakes.
او ودا كات كمان كاتي او دو حفتي روج بلاي گرمي زور برز بيتو سريع سلكم لو كات مان دزنسي ولا اكيد ك روج لينا دو حفته زور سار دبي او سار دي گرمي ودا ك مانتيل ناخي مانغو لقى قشركي سري يعني تويك لكي ليغرا بخشو بستو بالك او هندك زار كويك يعني مون كويك يدرز دكا okay my dear friend we have another student.
Hi, my name is Tabin. بوتي أو لسروي مانجني هو كاركي بوش تقريتوا يا أخو تاكو است أو تلسروي مانج دوزيوتوا
She asking about the water on moon, on the surface. She asked why there is no water on the surface of the moon. She said, is there any science for find water above on the surface of moon?
Yes. Okay. That is a very good question. And let me also say the previous questions were also very good questions. So the moon has no atmosphere. The moon is too small to have an atmosphere. There's not enough gravity to keep the air on the moon. So the moon is very pure vacuum. And at vacuum, water boils. So even at cold temperature, water in vacuum will boil. And so any water on the moon would instantly boil, and then the water vapor would go to space. It would escape the low gravity and go into space. But there is some water that is frozen as ice on the moon. And the reason it is still on the moon is because every once in a while, a comet will hit the moon. And when the...
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, this is Iraq, electricity cut power. So they're just using the generator, and I'm really, really sorry what happened. Just give us one break to using the generator, please. As I told you, something has happened to electricity power.
Okay. Do you want me to keep going?
You know the situation in Iraq. Nothing is moving perfectly.
Should I keep talking?
Yes, but they can't hear you very well, and they also the photo and the image is lost. The video lost.
Oh, I see. I can still see you though.
Yes, it's a webcam of the laptop.
I see.
طبعا هو give me there's a good chance to translate what you said right now about the atmosphere of moon. طبعا دكتور فيليب دالي نبروي مانك برجع هواي شي زور تنشي يعني است تقريبا حسابي بونا اكريت بويا نبوني برجع هوا وادك كبستان نبي كبستاني هوا نبو فيزيائيا او ووتر لسمان بس شوي شدي نابي زور زحمته واوي حشبتن يان دبيت السهول يان بحال بدا سيو دروات بوبو شاي اسمان او هيك دو كمان يعني نت وانا برجع هواي شي خاص هو احتفاظ با اوي الشل بكاله سروكه چكا اساسي بوني اوي الشل هر شوينك بيز قال بلاي جرميتي كه بستاني هوا يعني اير بريشر اير بريشر نبي زور زحمته okay probably we can use time so ask the question.
Okay, let me I was going to explain about ice on the moon though.
Yeah.
So, sometimes a comet will hit the moon. Many of the craters that you see on the moon are from comets. And when a comet hits the moon, the comet vaporizes and it creates an atmosphere on the moon. And the atmosphere on the moon does not survive very long. Most of the atmosphere will escape into space, but about 1/10 of that atmosphere will freeze into the poles of the moon. And so over time, it has collected and created this water ice at the poles of the moon. And it is so cold that even though it's in vacuum, the water does not sublimate. It stays solid ice.
Great. Electricity coming back. Everything is okay now, my friend. Okay. Dr. Philippe. روی مانگ دکوی evaporation او برا هل دسته برگه هوای چی تنید بو مانگ دکا بلا میز اعتباری بونی چکا زور تنکا. My friend, okay, thank you very much. Another question from
Hi, my name is Farhad, but I'm speaking Kurdish. بپی ام بدوزه که مانگ لزیر جابته و بونی هوا یاخد بونی او که بونی برگه هوا که تنک آیا دتان جان لسر بگوزد دتان جان مرفقان لسر بجین
Thank you very much. According to his question, he's briefly said, is there a chance to live on the moon after we heard all that, especially water, using the water?
Yes, we human beings need to have atmosphere, we need to have water, and we also need to have a food chain. We need to have other animals, other life. We cannot live without other life. But unfortunately, there is no liquid water or atmosphere on the moon, and there is no food chain. There is no other life on the moon. And so it is not a good place for humans to live. However, we have been inventing technologies that can do those things for us now. We can create an atmosphere, and we can mine the water on the moon and melt it. So we can create little bubbles where we have atmosphere and where we can live. But how do we get food on the moon? There's no other life on the moon. Well, again, because we have invented robotics, we have invented technologies, these robots can take the resources on the moon, they can take the soil and the sunlight and the ice, and we can make it into food. We can make everything that we need. So these robots can do the same things that plants and other life do here on the earth in order to create an environment where humans can live. So it is now possible. We have not actually developed most of these technologies, but we know how to.
Thank you very much. Dr. Philip Dale, ببي يعني بواركاني ديك ببي شتكاني ديك هشتكاني ترتوا ونابن بلى إما بيوست بويكا وكو أوباسي كرت ولو برقطع من الأسناء أو نقطنا أنا أو اللي تيجي يشتم بلى ذكري أما السود لهمو ريسورس كاني سر مانغور بقدين بتايبتي أو شو أو كي وين دري بيورا يعني أو باسي دكا يعني H2O يعني أو شيء صافة ودتوان دهم بوارك بكاني بينين بتحقيق إنه شيء كهربائي سادة دتوانه أكسجين وهيدروجين ليك زيادة كأنه بكاريان بيني بو هردو بواريان بوسم بواركي إم بيوست ما بيدا بيلجاني خما بريسيار question yes
Hi, my name is Sundus. My question is about moon. We know moon round faster and faster, and the sun has magnetic field. Is the sun factor of that gravity of the moon or not? Did the sun gravity of moon?
I'm sorry, I did not understand. You were talking very fast.
She said, is there an impact of solar activity? She asked, is there a probability that sun pulling the moon with its gravity, because the gravity of sun is, you know, it's very, very larger than the moon. So is there a chance to, or probability that sun will gradually grabbing the moon for its surface in the future?
No, it's not really possible. It's not possible because although the sun has much higher gravity than the earth does, we are very, very far from the sun. And so the moon is actually very close to the earth. And so even though the earth has smaller gravity, because it is so much closer to the earth, it feels a lot stronger for the moon. So I don't know a good way to say this. The gravity is, according to Newton's law of gravity, gravity gets weaker like 1 over the distance squared. And so because we're so far from the sun, it's actually a very weak gravity at this distance. My friend Ajit, does that explain it?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. My friend, we've got to asking quickly and answer also quickly because we have only probably 20 minutes before our friend Robert coming. So, بعد speaking برسيار. Yeah, another student here. بس أول برشارة مهمة كي كلافيوس كريتر تشيبو تخوا.
Hi, Dr. Phil. My name
Hello.
is Balin. I want to say thank you so much for this about this information. And I'm studying in Fakher Mergasuri school. I have a question. I have two questions for you. Okay. Question number one is: has paramecium lived in the moon, or amoeba lived in the moon, or another? And question number two is there fire or volcanoes in the moon? If you say yes, so does it mean the presence of O2, oxygen?
Do you understand the question, or I try to?
I missed a couple of words. Could you help me understand? There were a few words I did not understand.
Okay.
Can I?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. He's asked you about the moon. Is there? Which one was?
Okay, yeah. Has paramecium?
He asked about paramecium, the bacteria or something.
Yeah,
like
bacteria
that.
and some
It's kind of like the moon.
amoeba, paramecium, amoeba.
I see. Okay. Yes.
And
We do not know of any life on the moon. We do not know of any bacteria or paramecium or any other life. As far as we can tell, the moon is too harsh of an environment for even microbial life.
Okay, and his second question, he changed it.
Okay,
that
yeah.
is long.
I have a question. How long does daylight last on the moon?
It is about 14 days, 14 and a half days. It's half of a month, because a month is how long the moon goes around the earth, and the moon is always facing the same towards the earth, and so therefore it takes a month for the different sides of the moon to face the sun as well.
And my last question is for you.
I don't think so. You have time. because
Okay,
I'll give him
thank
time
you
for it.
so
Thank you
much.
very much. We've got to. Okay. Yes, this one. This question is. I think it's a very nice one because she asked him about something. Yeah. Introduce yourself to the.
I'm Fatima and I am 14 years old. The South Pole Aitken Basin, which is the deepest crater on the solar system and the oldest on the moon, was the impact that caused this crater slow or fast moving? And why is the chemistry of the impact basin so different from the highlands?
Very good question. Well, I do not know how fast the impact was on the moon, but in general, every impact on the moon has to go at least 2.7 kilometers per second, because that is the escape velocity of the moon. And so gravity always pulls everything in to go at least that fast when it hits the moon. Some impacts on the moon can be much faster than that, but that is the minimum. Every impact on the moon has to be at least 2.7 kilometers per second. So it's very, very fast. Now, why is the chemistry different? It's because the impact was so big and so deep that it dug all the way down into the mantle of the moon. So the moon is what we call a differentiated body. When it formed, it was so big and it got so hot that all the metal melted and went down to the center, and the rocks floated up to the surface. And the in-between part is the mantle. And so the impact that formed the South Pole Aitken Basin was so deep that it went all the way through the crust, all the way into the mantle, down into the rocks that have a lot of iron in them, down into rocks that are called olivine.
Thank you very much. یک نوتی سریع اگر اوانی جواب داداتو اگر مزاجش ما اكيد مزاتان دادين یک سریع سریع.
Hi, I am Anas. I am in grade 10. I have two questions about Mars. Yeah, okay. what are the factors for having water on the Mars? Is the possibility to have the same factors that led to have water on Mars again?
Mars used to have a much thicker atmosphere than it does now. Over a long amount of time, much of the atmosphere has escaped into space because Mars does not have enough gravity to keep it as well as the Earth does. So the atmosphere has become very thin on Mars. The density of the atmosphere is only 1% of the density of the atmosphere on the Earth. And therefore, liquid water is not possible on Mars at the present time. Liquid water would boil away into vapor almost immediately. So it's possible that we do know for sure that the atmosphere was thicker in the past on Mars. And so it was possible that in the past there was liquid water on the surface. But there's still a lot that we need to learn about Mars. We still don't know for sure if Mars had an ocean at one time. We don't know if the water on the surface of Mars lasted for a long time or if it only lasted for a brief time. We don't know.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your help, and I hope we contact more in future for develop my work. And I want to say that thank you for your information. If moon earlier 3 centimeters go back, so that's not be in the time for future crashing with another moon or planets. I don't know if you.
Dr. Phillips, she said about moon. If moon get far away for 3 centimeters, suddenly or gradually? Gradually, is that leave an impact on Earth? For example, the question is suddenly or quickly. Does that leave impact on Earth?
If the moon suddenly moved 3 centimeters?
Yeah, for example.
Well, the moon moves about that far every year. It moves a couple of centimeters every year farther away from the Earth. If it happened suddenly, I don't think it would cause a big effect. I think that gradually, over a long, long time, the moon moving away from the Earth will have an effect on the moon, on the Earth. It changes the tides here on the Earth. The month is getting longer as the moon moves farther away, and so the tides on the Earth will slow down and will change. Also, the gravity of the moon is making the rotation of the Earth slow down, so days on the Earth are getting longer. And so those are long-term effects, though, many, many millions of years for those to have much effect. I don't think there would be a very immediate effect.
We have only 9 minutes, probably.
Hi, my name is Sabin. I have a question for you. Sometimes the moon gets too close to the Earth, to the point that you feel it is gonna fall off the Earth. What's the reason behind that, and what are the consequences of that?
I'm sorry, could you say one more time, please?
Can I explain for him? Doctor, she said sometimes when you look at the moon, you feel like it's getting very close, and you feel that it's falling down on Earth. What's the reason? Why sometimes the moon gets very close to Earth as we see in the sky?
I think that is an optical illusion. I think when the moon is close to the horizon, sometimes it looks larger, but in reality, the moon is always at the same distance from the Earth and only very, very slowly getting farther away from the Earth. it's an imperceptible amount of change. But because of the optical illusion, when it is close to the horizon, low to the ground, it looks like it's low to the ground, the moon sometimes looks a lot bigger. And I think it's because the way the atmosphere, sometimes the moon will look squashed because of the atmosphere refracting the light. But I think it's mostly just an illusion because our minds will interpret the way we see it when it is close to the ground.
Thank you very much, my friend. We have a call from Robert Zubrin right now, and I'm going to answer the call. We've got to wait a little bit, Dr. Robert. Dr. Phil, thank you very much. That was a great opportunity for us, and I'm sure the guys here and every people who stand here. How did you see the questions of the students? How did you find that?
Those were wonderful questions. I can see they have spent a lot of time thinking about space and learning about gravity and about the moon. So thank you for the wonderful questions.
Thank you very much. Please give a big clap for. Thank you very much, Doctor.
It was my pleasure, friend.
Thank you very much.
I hope we can do this again someday.
We try our best to do that again. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Which one?
My point is that if you want to do it, you can do it. Everyone who is involved in the space program, everyone who became a well-known scientist in any field, an inventor, or any of these things that you might want to do, at one point was in your position of just being a student in school, and thinking about it as a dream. So there it is, and life is what you make of it. Now, I am, the reason why I really like being involved in the space exploration, and well, in particular in the development of technology for space exploration, which is what I do, is because I think this is the most important thing that is going on. I think that when people 500 years ago, 500 years from now, look back at this time, this is what they will consider important. Now, I know this may be difficult because in Kurdistan right now, you are involved in a life and death struggle with an immediate evil force, and you have to take care of what is going on now. But nevertheless, we fight today so that our children can be scientists and their children can be artists. That's what we do. And I think that our time will be remembered because this is when we first set sail for other worlds. Human beings, you think of humans as native to the earth, but really human beings are only native to a small part of the earth, which is to say Kenya. That is where the first humans were, in the Kenyan Rift Valley. And we're actually adapted for that environment. We are actually tropical animals. That's why we have these long, thin arms with no fur on them. We only became a global species by developing technologies that allowed us to live in new places. I live in Colorado, where the winters are very cold, and but otherwise it's quite a pleasant place to live. But no human without a certain amount of technology could live here. No human could survive a single winter night here without fire, without clothing, without houses. These are technologies, these are things that people invented that allowed them to become a global species and live all over the earth. Well, similarly, right now, there are other planets, and we do not yet have the technologies that could allow us to live there. We're close to developing them. But when we do develop those technologies, humans will go from a global species to an interplanetary species, and someday an interstellar species, with the universe open to us. And I mean, imagine how limited the human experience would be today if we had just stayed in the Kenyan Rift Valley, a few tribes living there. Instead, we're all over the globe, hundreds of nations, different cultures, different literatures. Well, if we go into space, if we establish the first human foothold on Mars in our time, then 500 years from now, there will be humans living on hundreds of planets orbiting stars in this region of the galaxy, with a much vaster human civilization and experience than anything that we can imagine today. And Mars is the first step, in my view, because Mars is the closest planet that has on it all the resources needed to support life and therefore technological civilization. The moon is closer, obviously, but the moon doesn't have a significant amount of water, it doesn't have carbon, it doesn't have nitrogen. These are fundamental to life. Mars is a 24-hour day, very similar to the Earth. The moon is 2 weeks of light, 2 weeks of dark. Mars has had a complex geological history necessary for creating mineral ore, so Mars is a place we could settle. If we were to compare the current age of exploration to the age of exploration that Europeans began in a big way about 500 years ago, the time of Columbus and Magellan and so on, Mars compares to the moon as North America compared to Greenland. You know, Europeans made it to Greenland first. Greenland's closer to Europe, but they couldn't develop a civilization there. It was too poor an environment.
Yes.
A few settlements, yes, but not a civilization. So Mars is the grand prize of this first act of the new space age.
Great.
And that's why I think we should set our sights on Mars. And so, with that, I'll take questions.
Doctor, thank you very much. So if you just give me a little break to translate the topics of what you said about the important informations for the student. Just give me 2 or 3 minutes, please.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. طبعا دكتور باسی وی کرد که دڵێ مانگ جیاوازیشی گزان زۆری لەگەڵ هەساری مەریخ بەڵام ئەوە بدایەتی باسی ژیانی خۆی گوتیم لە 5 ساڵیەوە زۆر حەزم لە بواری فەلەک ناسی بۆ گوتی ئەو کاتی یەکێتی سۆڤیەتی و ئەوانە هەبوو ئەمن کاتی خۆی لەبەرچ احتیمام بە عەلمی فەلەکدا چکە دەترسام لە یەکێتی سۆڤیەتی دەترسا چکە ئەوان زد یەک بوو لەگەڵ ئەمریکای لەوە کات خۆم دەترسام لۆیە ئەو ترسەوەی کە دەم بچمەنەوە عەلمی فەلەک احتیمامی پێ بدەم یعنی لۆ خۆشی نەبوو بۆ خۆی ئێمە زۆر سەیرە طبعا یەکەم جارێک لە ترسەوە بچی عیلمت بخوێنی چکە دژمنێکی هەیە لە وڵاتێکی دیکە بە هەر حاڵ دکتۆر دەڵێ مەریخ گەورەترین دیارە بۆ مرۆڤ لەبەرەوەی مانگ جیاوازیشێک زۆری هەیە مانگ بەرگە هەوای نییە 2 هەفتە شەوە 2 هەفتە ڕۆژە نازانم ئەو شتانەی دکتۆر فیلیپ باسی کرد بەڵام مەریخ مارس زۆر چانسی زیاتر لەوەی مرۆڤ بیدۆزێتەوە دەڵێ لە خلالی 500 ساڵی داهاتوو ئەگە دنیا ماوەختی دنیا لێک نەچوو بە کاملی دەڵێ 500 ساڵی دی چەندان شارستانی لە هەسارەکانی دیکە مرۆڤ یعنی بڵێن مرۆڤ دەیگاتێ مرۆڤ دەتوانێت شارستانی دیکە لەسەر هەساری دیکە دروستکە نەک تەنها لەنێو سۆلەر سیستەم سیستەمی خۆر بەڵکو لە دەرەوەی سیستەمی خۆر یعنی بە تەسەووری وان 500 ساڵی دی مرۆڤ هەنگاوی یەکجار زۆر گەورەتر دەنێت لەوەی کە ئێستایە چکەوە بە تەسەووری وان تێکنەلۆژیا ئێستا لە بیدایەتیتی وە زۆر خێرا تەتەوور دەکات Our dear guest, Dr. Robert, thank you very, very much for this information and about your life in the beginning of astronomy. We open the door, gate of questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you. أوانيك
تتسلم
بس مازال ما نهاية مازال ما زيادة اللي Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Don. Before my questions, I want to thank you that you gave your time to share for sharing information, and I want to thank you. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor for us to talk to such a smart scientist in space explorations. And my question is that I know that you have a Mars Society and you have project to send humans to live on Mars. And I want to know, have you located the location that a human could live on Mars? And what's the time for that journey? And do you think that human is ready for such journey on Mars? Thank you.
Dr. Robert? I think
Okay. Well, these are several good questions there. There's a wide variety of places on Mars that we might go. I would tend to go towards the equator because Mars is a cold planet, and so we want to go to the warmest part of it. And in particular, we would not want to go to live at the poles. We could go to visit because at the poles on Mars, half the year it's dark and you have no light at all. And the Martian year is twice as long as the Earth year, so that would not be good. The poles are interesting in that there's water, ice there, but I would go to tropical or at most mid-latitudes, and I'd go to low altitude. You want to translate that part, and I'll take another section?
Okay. Delegation بخيراي دليل لازم سركاني مالي في جهاز دون زحمة بلام لنا وسك أمريكي بلاي جرمي تقريبا دقات السيودو بلايس معناه the equatorial Mars equatorial regions are better than the poles.
Right. Now, excuse me, he had more questions than just that.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to answer at least a few more of them.
Sure.
I think that if there was a serious decision to do it, we could have humans on Mars in 10 years. It doesn't take 10 years to travel to Mars. It would take about 6 months to travel to Mars. But it would take 10 years to develop the technology, the rockets, the spacecraft, and so forth. And okay. So now I'll take another question.
Okay. Thank you very much. So from the 10 years, will things get very developed in the next 10 years?
Yeah, well, they can.
Great.
Look, it took us 10 years from Kennedy's speech to landing on the moon. And actually, even though Mars is much further, our technology today is much more advanced. And so I think we could be there in 10 years if we decided to do it. Now, right now, there isn't a decision to do it, but it could be done. There's also a private company called SpaceX, which is developing technology on its own that could get people to Mars.
Great. Please. I have another question.
Hi, Doctor. I'm Faris. I هوكاي كوني رنجي ما بمشي وكويكيتش. ما
My friend asked you about the color of Mars. He said, why Mars is reddish like that? And the gravity of Mars. It's the difference between Mars and Moon, Earth, from the gravity.
Okay, Mars is red because of rust. That is iron oxide. When iron combines with oxygen, it forms rust, like you've see rusty metal. That's Mars's soil is very rich in iron, and so it is red. That's the first thing. And the gravity of Mars is about 1/3 that of the Earth. So, for instance, if you weighed 60 kilograms on Earth, you would weigh 20 kilograms on Mars.
Great. So you don't have to lose your weight. You want to lose your weight, you got to go to Mars. It will be better for you. Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much. Another question, please.
Hello, Dr. Robert. My name is Mohammed, and here's my question. Can we increase the amount of oxygen on Mars and how?
Okay. Mars, today, its atmosphere is carbon dioxide. Initially, people who go to Mars will need to live inside of their spacecraft that they land on Mars. But it is possible that someday humans could make Mars to be a planet much more like the Earth. That is called terraforming, they call it. And the way we would do it is first we would warm the planet by putting artificial greenhouse gases in its atmosphere, and then like fluorocarbons. And then as the planet warms, its current atmosphere, which is CO2, will thicken because CO2, when is sponged into the soil, and when it is warmed, it comes out. And then once that happens, and also a lot of the water that is frozen in the soil as permafrost will melt, and you'll get liquid water and rain, and then we could spread plants around the planet. And the plants turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. And so Mars is red today, but someday it will be green.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hindi, and I have a question that they said that Phobos is one of the moons of the Mars, and it goes so fast around it. Why? And they said that if it goes so fast like that, it will crash the Mars and make it like a
بكردي تايم كي كردي
تركيب
مالتي فوبوس
مع فوبوس كل دولة بصورته دي تاكل يعني أجر جيان هبوا لسه رجوزي معنا بدوي أوش فوبوس هاد كابو خيرا لأصورته لهنا دا ودا مارس شدا جيانا كتير أتيت
Doctor, that's an advanced question. She said, as we know, the Phobos is getting closer to Mars, and you know there's a chance to an impact between Mars and Phobos to the surface of Mars. She said, is that good that if you build a colonizing Mars and there is a threat on Mars, or this is happening after a very long time from now, the impact between Phobos and the surface of Mars?
It will take a long time. It will be billions of years from now.
Billion of years. ملياران سال دي أو كذا. طالما أكيد كده أو عندنا الإنجليزي ده بيتو بتفوت النهاية. بس بريز أيوة تين توا. بلى بلى. أنا أفو السر أماني. أخذ. أبو. عيني. شو بس رأي يعني لا اشتري أطار
Hello, my name is Hannah.
Hannah asked you, is there 4 seasons on Mars, Dr. Robert?
Yes, there are. Mars, just like the Earth, has an axis that it rotates around, and it's tilted about as much as the Earth's axis is, so that as Mars goes around the Sun, it has 4 seasons. It's just that each season is twice as long as the Earth season. In other words, the Martian year is actually 23 of our months long, just a little bit short of 2 of our years. And so each of its seasons, instead of lasting 3 months, lasts 6.
دكتور روبرت دلي طبعا بدو صار تقريبا ونيا مريخ بدو يخول هذا صورته والزكان هي فلان بوران كان نيو اما باران باري اوبشن درجه حراره فرق لك التمبريتشر وبلام انواع زوينيه اللي او شو هواي كده حتما دس زوينيه بويا بلد سؤال ورزكه هي وكو معني علمي بلام بلا معني يعني كشناسي تنها تنديارديك نبي دريجبون وكم بنوي كان يتسكين اوكي بس يك او يك نوزع زور سريع عفوا او دابا دو صار رحنا نكتبوا زور على فيسبوك لانك الحكومات هي المفروض تقويم السالانه في كاته دو صار كما مع دو مانزارك تقويم عدد تقويم مريض ما كيسال استابور فيسا سي مانزارك يعني سي صار على كل انا نفسي دكتور روبرت you have another question please Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Siad. سيارتهم أول لما ريشي مغناطيسي هي وهو بكال هنا قبل ما المريض فهمان شيء بالسلبية.
Doctor, this is thank you very much for your question. A very nice question. She asked about the magnetic or magnetic field on Mars. So is Mars have a gravity, or it's different than Earth? Magnetic fields. She asked about that.
Okay, well, Mars has gravity, as I said, 1/3 that of Earth. It does not have a global magnetic field on Mars. So a compass that tells you which way is north would not work on Mars.
دلي بالفعل مريخ وقت زي أولية بلقيش مغناطيسي وقولي باكور لو باكور south or north بلكو اشتيش كده بيجي شو مريخ مغناطيسي كي بارتة يعني هر شوين هي كائن مغناطيسي زور بهذا لهذا شويني زور لهذا والله ماكو زوينية مثلا أو باكور أو باشور نية قبل ما لو بتجاه كان بغلط نشان ده. Thank you, Dr. Robert. Question? Yes. Dino. كان زور كانت ما بعرف.
Hello, doctor. My name is Sira, and I wonder, like, plate movements exist on Mars, on Earth, like continents are moving. So I wonder, is there plate movements exist on Mars and like other planets? Thank you.
Doctor, do you understand the question?
I couldn't hear it. Could you repeat it?
باكودي بامبلي. ولا بيلو حسك بيلو. Sorry, Dr. Robert, she's come back and asked me a question.
The plate movements, like the continents are moving. It exists on Earth. Like, is that also on Mars and the other planets?
Yeah, she meant the tectonic activity on Mars.
Is there continental drift?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she asking about this. Yes.
No, there isn't, as a matter of fact. The Earth has what is called plate tectonics, which makes the continents move. Mars does not have plate tectonics. And this is actually pretty important. This is the reason why Mars's atmosphere is so thin. You see, on Earth, when it rains, the water comes down and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is dissolved into the water, or some of it is, and the water then goes into the ground and the carbon dioxide reacts with rocks and forms carbonates. But it's not lost because the plate tectonics of the Earth rotate all the material through the heat of the depths of the Earth, and those carbonates are broken down and the carbon dioxide is released again. On Mars, the early Mars, when Mars was young, it had a much bigger atmosphere and it had liquid water. That's why there are dry riverbeds on Mars and dry lakes and even a dried up ocean. but because it doesn't have plate tectonics, when the carbon dioxide got stuck in the ground, it stayed there, or a lot of it did. And then that caused the planet to cool down and all the water froze. If we go to Mars and we warm the planet, we can drive much of the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, thicken the atmosphere, and make Mars warm and habitable again.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Robert, دلي برجع المريخ برجع هواي زور تنكا أو سوري لوين ده نية سبب أول شيء السبب الرئيسي كان هيك جولي بليت تكتونية أصلا مريخ تقريبا يك بارتي يعني واحد سنة دقيقة بلام الزوينة بليت تكتونية و CO2 سايكل أو سوري كبس الغاز ومكسيد الكربون أو يكدوا كغاز كان هو يحبس بلنا وخارج المريخ نية تدروا كوزوي لرجع بركان بليت تكتونية كان درس لك ونيا بركان تقيتوا أو غازان تدرنا لا وهم المريخ حبس بوا أول شوي كده برجع هوا كده دس ده. Okay, doctor. Another question? I think more. Show us my another question here, doctor.
Hello, my name is Freya. My question is like,
I didn't think it was.
Okay. My question is, does the soil on Mars contain the ingredients needed to grow plants?
Doctor, do you understand the question?
Say it louder. I couldn't hear it.
She asked a question, and I know what it is. She said, "Is that the contents of soil of Mars supporting life?"
Ingredients. Grow plants.
Doctor, she said, is the soil of Mars supporting growing plants or something like that in the future?
Could we grow plants in the soil of Mars? Is that the question?
Yes, yes.
We can. Some of the soil, before you grew plants in it, you'd have to wet it with liquid water to make certain compounds that are in it that would not be good for plants to break down and go away. Others, Martian soil could be used as is. People have done experiments in which they grow plants in simulated Martian soil. And in fact, this is something that perhaps an experiment that you could do. You can look in books of the composition of Martian soil and try to create some soil that is like it and grow some plants.
خارج مريخ ذكري حتى أجر إمكانيات اللي لماضوا تكوين بيكاتي خارج مريخ ديارة بلاو كراكي يعني مثلا أجر إمكان هذه أو تجربة شان كردية خاكي شو مريخ كان دوس كردية نكشوا هواك بس خاكك جياو وشتانا لنا الشين واحد يعني نفس التجربة خارج مريخ.
But you'd have to grow the plant if you're on Mars. You'd have to grow it in a heated greenhouse.
Yes, that's right. ده بخاني شو شيء greenhouse بخاني شو شيء ده بدايني أجينا طبعا بأتموسفيرك وكل زمينيا بوي دمري بقى أنتوا تقول greenhouse درس كده خاني شو شيء كان زور بقى أصلاً ده خارج مريخ أو يعني روح شين ده جيته. Thank you, doctor. Question? Another question, please. Dr. Robert, it's okay for you? You're not busy or something like that? Can you continue with you?
Speak loud. The microphone is not as loud as it was.
Oh, doctor, I said it's okay for you. You're not so busy. Can you continue?
Yes, I'd be happy to continue.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have another question.
Hello, doctor. I'm Zubrin. My question is there a day and night on the Mars? If yes, is the time like Earth or is it different?
Was the question, do we have day and night on Mars like Earth?
Yeah, she said it's similar with Earth or it's different.
Well, yes. In fact, the Martian day it turns in about 23 hours, 40 minutes. So there's a day and night, and they're just a tiny bit longer than the Earth day and night.
Thank you. I'm in Doctor, I'll ask you questions from me now, but I'm saying in Kurdish before I translate to English to you. هذيك العلماء دلين أما بمششيس النووي قنبلة الذرية لمريخ بدين بوي جرين هاوس إفكت دروس كانوا انحباس حراري كاتسموني جرميتي في دلين بالإنجليزي global warming بواسطة الضربين النووي للمريخ. إذا بالشارع هذا النظام أوتي دلين. Dr. Robert, I heard several years ago that there is an idea to bombarding Mars or nuking Mars by nuclear.
Hold the microphone up closer.
Okay.
It's hard to hear.
It's okay now?
Yes, now.
Sorry. There is an idea I heard several years before now. It said we can nuke Mars, nuclear weapons, bombarding Mars to make a global warming. You know, is that a good idea to let the water evaporating from the land to this atmosphere? Is that a good way to let the changing climate change on Mars faster, sooner, faster and faster?
I've read that paper, but I don't think it would work. You could, if you bombed the south pole of Mars, you could put a lot more CO2 in the atmosphere because there's frozen CO2 there, but it wouldn't last, it would go bad. I think if we're going to warm Mars, the way we need to warm Mars is by putting greenhouse gases in Mars's atmosphere. That is, you've probably heard about global warming and the greenhouse effect.
Yes.
Yes. That is warming the Earth really only a tiny bit, but it is warming it. Well, there are gases that we could make that are very strong greenhouse gases that really would do a good job of warming up the planet. Now, of course, we don't want to do that on Earth, but on Mars we do. And so if we set up factories on Mars that manufactured these kinds of gases, they're called fluorocarbon gases, and release them to the atmosphere on purpose, we could warm the planet a lot.
دلي ناكلي لبري قلتو بومبي نووي بس أو كليه ولا بزمسري باشوري مريضا لا ساوث بولي مريضا بفركيب تاع إنه بتهلم سأسمع بلام دلي بدعي ما وين لبري بني هواي أصلا زور ناس كمريض زاري تشتري أو بفرو أو ده هلم كده نشيته دي سند بيتوه بفر بلام دكتور روبرت دلي دكتور مثلا أمام مجموعة أفكار هي لو أنا ناردني تسن كارجيكا دروس كتير تسن كارجيكا بس غازي ميثان وأمونيا ولا أو غازاني كجلوبال وورمينج دروس دكا CO2 مثلا CO2 زورا غازا كاني جرم كاري ديكا لبركة هواي مريخ زياد كا يعني معمل بس دوكالي فرادات أسمان غازي دروس كا دلي أو باشترين فكرة بلام أمن بيستيتم كرنجة هزار صالي بوي كذا يجي حتني مريخ بدوكال بتشتي بيس بهواي بيس تا بليجرمي برز بيتو باران وشد دسبير أول فكرة كا Dr. Robert, can we continue or?
I can continue.
Okay. You have a question? Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate that.
Hello, Doctor. My name is Thomas. What's the effect that created in the gravity in the Mars? What's the effect in the that created in the gravity?
Hold the microphone close and speak loud.
What is the effect that created in the gravity in the Mars?
He said, what's the reason that made the gravity or the force that made gravity on Mars? What is it? It's like Earth.
The reason why Mars's gravity is less than Earth is because Mars is smaller. Mars is about half the size of the Earth. That is, its diameter is half as big. And so it has less mass, and so it doesn't pull as strong with its gravity.
Great. Great. You have another question?
Yes. وكو زوي بدوني خلق بدل خويدا بسرعته ما ريتش مهما شوي زي بدوني بدل خويدا بسرعته
واي بيشتغل ساعات شو روز درس ساعات. Sorry question. Another question please we have. حاول كان الباري دروس كدني شارع أو
So, by the way, just want to add something.
Yeah.
Because Mars's gravity is 1/3 as much as Earth,
Yeah.
if you could jump 1 meter high on Earth, you could jump 3 meters high on Mars.
Yes. يعني قبل توعي لسه زي يجمل البازر لسه مريخ سير مثل باز ده بازر كي يشوف تقريبا ما بزم حلوين ده.
My name is Don. I have another question. What is the biological effects or the biological changes that happen to humans' body if they live on Mars? Oh, okay, thank you.
Dr. Robert?
Okay, well, that is an interesting question, and no one knows the answer for sure. But when humans go into Earth orbit where there is no gravity at all, if they don't exercise a lot, they become weaker because they're not, they don't get the exercise that you get by walking around on Earth and holding up your weight. On Mars is 1/3 gravity, and so this effect would not be as extreme. But if you wanted to retain the amount of muscles and strength that you have now, you'd want to make sure you do extra exercise while you're on Mars. And if you did that, as I said, you would be capable of doing amazing things because, for example, if you could jump 1 meter on Earth, you could jump 3 meters high up on Mars. Now, what would happen to children born on Mars? Unless they and so forth, they would not grow to be as strong as Earth people. But if they did, they would. And because the basic human heredity would stay the same. And but if they ever went back to Earth, they would find it unpleasant. They would want to know why anyone would want to live on such a high gravity planet.
زور جوانا دليل لسه مريخ أقام شارع دروس بكين أو من دلانة بكين داري دبن زور خراب لراتي إنك وضعك تا تن جيلي يعني تن نوعك إنزا بلا ما قال أو نوعك ليرة هذا لسه كشي مريخ بيني وسر زمين هاتانيش لبري هذا الشيء كني زي هند زورة about she said why NASA try to live on Mars. Are they know that there's something bad will happen to Earth, or the end of the world is close, or something like that, or it happen in the future? So that's why NASA thinking about rescue or take mass from Earth to the moon to new civilization, to the Mars. Sorry.
Well, there are some people who think that way, who say the reason why we should go to other planets is because, as we say in English, you should not put all your eggs in one basket. But that's not my reason. I don't think the reason to go to Mars is to escape the Earth. I think the reason to go to Mars is to create something new. I think that it's kind of like having children. Okay, you don't have children to try to live forever. You have children to create something new. And in a way, the human settlements on Mars will be like a child of the civilization of the Earth. And I hope that we have many children.
Yeah. دلي مسألة كحالات المية للزوج كالزوج رانك تيجيان أو شتانا تفكيري ما أوي ما يعني بيروغاي ما أوي كمان حاولت كين يعني بشرية بلاو كينو يعني لسه هسالج كبان من ضاب بيبا نويت كب بيبا مروف تشنب يعني السيستم الخود أو هسالج كبس هسالج كيا أو تفكيري وأنا من بداية التنقل طبعا وأنا تفكيري يعني ناحية دينية والنية بس هو تقريبا بينه وبينه وين بيشو استاذ او برادرو Doctor, thank you, and we have one question here.
Hi, Dr. Robert. My name is William. I have a question for you. We know in the Mars is a road, have a road, but I have a question here. The density road in the Mars is greater or lesser than the Earth? Just I have a question.
Thank you.
Could you repeat it?
Yeah, he asked about the density of rocks on Mars. Is it similar like Earth or no? It's different.
The density of rocks
Yes.
Is similar to Earth. And we have discovered quite a few kinds of rocks on Mars that are the same as rocks on Earth. But I'm sure we will also discover many that are different. But the density of rocks is comparable.
Doctor, I have a question. I heard about the Spirit or Opportunity rover. In one of their data mentioned that the temperature in the regions near the equator reaching to 32 Celsius. Is that right?
It could be. That's actually new to me. I knew that temperatures had sometimes reached 20 Celsius.
Yes, yes.
And it could be that on a particularly hot day, it could reach 30 Celsius. It's possible.
Yes, especially in the summer. That they indicate the source, or it was from NASA, said that the temperature was in the middle of the summer. So that reached to 30 to 32 Celsius.
Right, but only in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
At night it gets very cold. I understand that Kurdistan is mountains.
Yeah.
And so you know that in mountains it can, even in winter, it can sometimes get warm in the daytime, but get very cold at night.
Yes, sure.
Okay? Yeah, Colorado here is also mountains. We have the same kind of thing.
من دمبرسي thank you doctor. دمبرسي عندك تقارير هيدا بلاي جميل لما ريت دقات سيتا سيبوت ليسدي يعني قرم طاو وكو تقريبا تصور ممكن استاجولي او در احتمال او قديم دراساتي بيشتر 20 درجه مئويه اكيد 20 درجه لفايكين لصالح حفتا وشش كوريجر.
And by the way, I should add that the reason why you have a big temperature change between day and night if you are on a mountain is because there's less air above you. The air above you is a blanket. It keeps in warmth. And if you're higher up, there's less of it, and so you don't have as thick a blanket. And Mars has very thin air, so it has a very thin blanket.
Oh, thank you very much. دكتور روبرت دلي ومعلوماتش ما فتكش يستا بالفعل خيمة ودلي لبرتي ناوتكاني شاقاري مثلا زور ساعدة لبروي أو ناوتانا برزت وتسند روي زي برز بيونيا برجي هواء تنكتلو كم سنة بيترو السطحي مريخ وكو أويتو لستياجي زور برز بيواه بويا هواء لبي كمو بليجرمي زور دادا بزي لبروي برجا هواء وكو سقفي وعادة باريزي أو هذا. Another question, please. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Kusar. Has the Mars any effects on the Earth now? Or if suddenly Mars destroyed, is there any effect on the Earth now?
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, he said if Mars, for example, destroyed or get far away from Earth, get out from its orbit and go to the deep of the space, for example. Is that left an impact on Earth?
Well, there wouldn't be much of an impact on Earth unless Mars came and hit the Earth, and then there'd be a big impact. But Mars is not going to go that. It's not going to leave the solar system, and it's not going to hit the Earth. It's in its own orbit, and the laws of physics will keep it in that orbit, essentially forever.
One question we have. Yeah.
زۆربەی پێکاتەکەی مەریخ گونجاو بۆ ژیان تەنها تەنکی وەرگەڵایەکە و کەمی ئۆکسیجین و ئاو نەبی ناتوان ئەمە چارەسەرکەم بۆ نمونە خانوێک دروست بکەم بە دەوری بەرگەهەوایەکی بچووک دروست بکەن یان بۆ کەمی ئۆکسیجین بەڕواندنیدار لە مەریخ وەک شتێنەی سەوز بۆ دابینکردنی ئۆتو بۆ ڕێژەی ئاو کە هەر زەمسەرەکانی مەریخ بڕێژەیەکی باش بەفیلێ ناتوانست لەم بەفرە وەربگرن بۆ دەستکەوتنی ئاو یان قۆڵکردنی مەریخ بۆ ئەوەی ئاو دروستنەوە
ئەو تازە باسی بەشەشی زۆری بەس ئەمزانی پرسیارەکەی زۆری دەکەم دەرێ باشترین حەل ئەوە بخانیش و شەی بۆ هەموو شارەکە دروست بکرێت. Dr. Robert, sorry for delay. She asking you about, is that the best way to man to live on Mars is build a large greenhouse or large things, let's say buildings like that. Is that the best way?
Well, that is one very good way. When we first go to Mars, we will just live in our spacecraft. They will be our houses, and we will live inside of them. If we land a number of them, we could connect them and have more space to live. But once we're able, we would want to build large greenhouses on Mars, which could be domes, perhaps 100 meters in diameter, in which there would be living space and plants, and you could walk around. And we could also build much larger buildings that you could live inside of on Mars. But either on the surface, or we could create underground walls. Ultimately, people, when there's enough people on Mars with enough technology, we will start to transform Mars so that the whole planet will be habitable. But in the middle period, certainly we will live in large buildings and greenhouses on Mars.
Great. Doctor, we have another question from one of my friends. Said, sure, there is a difference between the atmosphere and weather of Mars and Earth. So what is the major points?
Please hold the microphone closer. I can't hear it.
Oh, sorry.
If you don't.
The major differences between Mars and Earth weather. Sure, there is too much, but the major or the most important one, is there clouds in the sky of Mars?
Check to make sure the microphone is on.
That is so nice. Can you hear me now, Doctor?
Now it's better.
Okay. Okay. My friend asked you the differences between the atmosphere of Earth and Mars, and I'm adding this.
I can't hear you again.
Oh, just 1 minute, please.
Check the microphone. It might be off.
Okay, how now? It's okay? Doctor, are you hearing me? Dr. Phil?
Microphones like that sometimes have a switch.
Yes, it's on, but now?
I can't hear.
Just 1 moment, please. We try to fix it. So, how about now?
A little better.
Okay.
Speak loud.
Okay. It's okay now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for that. They ask you about the difference between Mars and Earth weather. And I'm adding that for his question. Is there clouds in the skies of Mars?
You went off again.
Oh, there is sorry. The tiny code is Dr. Robert, can you hear us now? Dr. Robert?
Sorry, I can't hear. But can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
What is that? But I can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't. Well, then, let me just say a final remark.
Okay.
If I may.
Okay.
Let me just make a final remark and you translate it for the students.
Okay.
Okay? Well, just two things. Number one, I think that science, invention, exploration are among the greatest things that people can do. I think people should do great things, and so I think that Kurds should do these things. That in the process of creating a new and better world through science and invention.
I don't think so. You can hear us.
And one more thing, if I may.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans like the Kurds because the Kurds have been friends to America, and I also feel that way. But I have an additional reason to like the Kurds, which is this: is that the way I think of America is it's not just a country, it's a cause. And that cause is human freedom. And the enemies of human freedom say freedom is a curse. If people are made free, they will just destroy things.
That's right.
And that is sometimes true, but you know, we Americans went into Iraq, we got rid of Saddam Hussein, and we said, now you are free, make of it what you will. And the people in the other parts of Iraq chose to use the opportunity to kill and destroy. But the Kurds showed that they could make freedom a blessing, not a curse. They showed that our cause is true. And I thank you for that.
Well, let's try again. I don't think so. If you can hear me, Dr. Robert, we are really honored. Thank you very much. I have to talking to you with the language of science, so signing. So I have to say thank you very much. Really appreciate. We are really honored. And wabzanam tsaplechi bashkoledi. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you very
much. Keep going the way you're going.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. قسەکەی ئەخیری زۆر جوان بوو گوتی لەبەر چی ئەمە کورد خۆش دەوێت لەبەرەوەی خەڵک زۆر ئێستا محاوڵە دەکات سەربەستی و ئازادی لە خەڵک بستینەوەی وا کەسی خراپەیە بەڵام گەلی کورد وەک چۆن ئەمریکا پێشتر مەسەڵەن هەوڵی دا و سەرکەوتنی وەدەستهێنا سەربەستی کوردم لەوەی خۆش دەوێت بێزگەلەوەی کە حەزی لە زانستە لەو چەند ڕۆژەی کە دەیڤ پێی گوتێ دیارە کوردەکانمان وا حەزیان لە زانستە لەو شتانەیە دیارە متابعی کردیە ئاکید متابعی هەندێک شتی کردیە گوتیتی تازەوەی گوتی ئەنگۆ زۆر حەستان لە بواری زانستی و متابعەکانی من بەڵام هیچی دەوێت ئەنگۆ حەستان گەلێک حەستان لە ئازادیە حەستان لە سەربەستیە ئێوە بەردەوام بن بەرەنگاری دژمن و بەرەنگاری هەر کەسێک بنەوە کە دای سەربەستی لێ وەرگێ بە هەر شێوێک بمە بەس هەر شەڕ نییە بەڵکو ئەوەی کردمانیش ئێستا شتێکی زۆر جوان بووە دەستخۆشە لە هەموو لایەکان دەکەم بەڕاستی بەڵام بە تایبەتی بۆ بەڕێوەری کۆمەلگا مامۆستای بەڕێزمان کە لێسەر خۆشی مامۆستا شەپۆل کە لێرە ئامادەیە و مامۆستایانی بەڕێز کە بەڕاستی زۆر پێوەمانەماندی مامۆستا ئاسوێ خۆشەویست کات تێکۆشە بەڕاستی حەقۆیە چەبرێکی لۆرێدەن دەستا خۆش بووە ئینشاءالله ئیسفادەتان لێ کردیە